Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham has been re-elected for a third term following an overwhelming win in last week's local elections. The Labour Mayor received more than 420,000 votes, almost two-thirds of those available.
He has the most powers of any elected mayor outside of London. And Andy Burnham joins us now live on Breakfast. Good morning to you. A significant win. Congratulations.
Good morning, John.
A third term then. What are you going to do with it?
Well, obviously, firstly, I am overwhelmed really by the support and so grateful to the people of Greater Manchester. And in return, I'm going to make this the most ambitious term yet, with a pledge to solve the housing crisis within Greater Manchester within a decade. We can't keep talking about a housing crisis in this country and not actually get stuck in and really try and sort it out. So that's the commitment I'm making today. Within this term, the four-year term, I'm going to put in place a plan to build 10,000 council homes across Greater Manchester, at least 1,000 in every borough, because there is no solution to the housing crisis without building homes that people can truly afford. So we start with that, but there are many other elements to it as well.
There'll be people watching not just in Greater Manchester, but across the country listening to you say, but how? How are you going to make that kind of difference on housing? Especially when there are so many other concerns like the roads, schools, so many more demands on the money you've got.
Well, I think housing has got to be the priority, hasn't it? Because you can't have anything in life without a good home. And there are too many people, sadly, living without a good, secure home. And that creates so many other challenges for us as a society. So I think you do have to put housing first and make it a sort of top order issue. It's not just building new homes for social rent. We are going to bring in a Greater Manchester Good Landlord Charter to improve standards in the private rented sector. We're going to give our residents the right to request a property check if they are concerned that their home is unfit or unsafe. So we've got in place plans to do these things. In terms of building the social homes, we've already identified the brownfield land where they can go. We're working with public bodies to release that land. This plan is funded and it can be done.
But of the tens of thousands of homes you're talking about, how many of them are affordable homes, social homes?
No, all of the 10,000 that we will build within this mayoral term will be homes for social rent, council homes, a new generation actually of council homes that will also be cheaper to run, because this is the great thing about the modern homes that are being built, kind of net zero homes. The bills are much cheaper, so people's rent will be lower and their bills will be lower, and that's why we need to bring in a new generation of council homes in all of our 10 boroughs. So it's ambitious, absolutely, but I think we've got to get to grips now with the housing crisis. The reality is it's getting worse every year, and the reason why it's getting worse is because with Right to Buy we lose social rent homes every year. Across Greater Manchester, for the last year we have figures, 500 homes for social rent were lost. So one other thing that I'm saying today to Whitehall and Westminster is you need to allow us to suspend Right to Buy from the new homes that we are building, because if we don't, trying to solve the housing crisis is like trying to fill a bath with the plug out, because you keep losing. You try and build new homes, but you lose them at the other end, and that just isn't going to work. So we do now need to rethink Right to Buy. It's about suspending it, not ending it, but we can't kind of be in a situation where the housing crisis just gets worse and worse every year as we lose those homes that people can truly afford.
But to those people watching this programme this morning who say that their family bought a council house generations gone by, decades gone by, and it got them on the property ladder and it made a massive difference to their family's whole sense of status in society, you're saying that other families wouldn't have that opportunity?
Well, other families wouldn't have that opportunity because they can't get a council home or a home for social rent, because we're losing them every year. And I'm only talking about suspend, because what we've got to do is start building enough homes for social rent so that you can return to a Right to Buy policy. At the moment, as I say, the homes that people can truly afford, the number of them is reducing every year, the homes that are in the public stock. So we've got to do something about that. You know, we got to get into the detail of the housing crisis and sort it out at every level, as well as put in place support for people who are homeless. So I'm committing as well today to fund the Bed Every Night scheme that I launched here in Greater Manchester, that looks after around 600 people every night who would otherwise be sleeping rough. I'm going to expand that scheme. I've been out around our city centre this morning doing a walkabout. You know, there are too many people out there. The good thing that I can say as mayor, though, is there's an offer of help for every single person that's out there, and we've been putting those to them this morning. But, you know, we've got to address this housing crisis on every level. Westminster has got to wake up to it with us, and that's why we have to take some difficult decisions to do it.
OK. Can we talk about your convincing win in Greater Manchester? But part of your patch is Oldham, and Labour lost control of the council in Oldham, lost seats to independents. Do you accept that Labour's stance on Gaza was part of the reason why?
Well, it was certainly a factor in the elections. There's no point in saying otherwise. It had an effect on the results here, but in other parts of the country as well. Let's not forget, though, that these were very good results for Labour and for Keir. But yes, there's definitely a need to engage with those communities, listen to how they feel, and obviously as the situation continues to develop in the Middle East, we need to speak clearly from my point of view, from a humanitarian point of view. I think there are real concerns about what might be about to unfold in Rafah. You know, we here in Greater Manchester, myself and the 10 leaders, called for a ceasefire last year. I think we need to be clear as well that we just do not want to see what might be about to unfold there, and be clear in speaking up. At the end of the day, this issue isn't about politics, is it? It's about people's lives. It's a situation where we do need to have clarity in terms of what we say, and rebuild trust.
Do you think Keir Starmer will give more clarity and change his position potentially? He says he's listening, but is he changing?
Well, Keir has called for a ceasefire, and I think, like all politicians, these are difficult issues, and we all have to work hard to listen, to follow the situation as it develops, and, as I say, and be clear. And from my point of view, as Mayor of Greater Manchester, I have a large Muslim community in our city region, but also a large Jewish community. And I condemned the terrorist attacks on October the 7th, and I stood with our Jewish community at a vigil shortly after. But of course, at the same time, you know, when we have seen events unfold, I did, with other leaders, call for a ceasefire. I think it's obviously a very distressing and challenging situation for everybody. It's obviously not my job as Mayor of Greater Manchester to provide a running commentary on all of it, but at times you do need to represent how our communities feel, and we do that to politicians at the national level.
When you were in national government, you were health secretary, and you gave evidence at the infected blood scandal, which will publish its report in a couple of weeks' time.
Yes.
What are you looking to that report to announce, to declare?
Yeah, it's going to be I think it's a monumental day, the 20th of May, because I think this is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, injustice that this country has seen. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people infected, you know, so many lives ruined, and for decades under all governments, in my view, Whitehall lined up behind a lie that nobody was knowingly given unsafe blood products. Well, I found out through the work that I did that I was given lies as Health Secretary. That same point was put to me, and in the end I found out that that was untrue. And indeed, I think when this report comes out, it will rock Whitehall to its foundations, because, you know, we cannot have a situation in this country where public servants are not anything other than wholly truthful to ministers. It's why I've called for a duty of candour on all public servants to tell the truth at the first time of asking. So we will see, won't we, when the report comes out. But when I made my final speech in Parliament, I called this a criminal cover-up on an industrial scale. And personally, I think that is what this report will find.
Criminal cover-up. Do you think criminal prosecutions could still follow?
Well, I think they should, in the same way as they should with the post office situation, in the same way that they should with Grenfell. You know, there has to be accountability in society, and particularly in public services. We obviously will wait to see the detail, but I am very clear that you know, I was not told the truth as Health Secretary, and it just shouldn't be possible that could be allowed to happen. I think for fear of financial exposure, Whitehall kind of stuck to this line and this lie for decades, and sadly so many families lost loved ones and had their lives ruined as a result. So there does have to be full accountability.
Andy Burnham, seeing as you're just beginning your third term, I'm not going to ask you the question that you always get asked about whether you want to go back to Westminster and whether you would consider going back into a Labour government if that happens. But I am going to ask you whether you might consider Strictly Come Dancing, because we're going to show our viewers some pictures now of you taking a break from campaigning.
Oh, no. Oh no.
Yes.
I tried to wipe all trace of that video off the face of the earth, but clearly failed.
We've done a deep dive into
Sally
the
Nugent
darkest
for digging that
parts
out
of the internet. But I mean, you look like you're enjoying it. It looks good.
No, not one part of me was enjoying it, to be honest. Not one. There's no bit of my DNA that makes me good at ballroom dancing. Not one bit. It was the most. You know, I could sing, I can DJ, I would do anything, but walking out onto a dance floor is literally the most terrifying thing I've ever done in my entire life, and I will never do it again. So Strictly, you won't be calling me anyway, but if you were thinking of it, don't.
Celebrity X Factor then, if you're singing.
Oh, I could turn my hand to that, but yeah, it was obviously, though, for the great Rob Burrow and all of his brilliant work around motor neurone disease, and to fund the Rob Burrow Centre at Leeds Teaching Hospital. And can I just say to BBC Breakfast, the way you've covered Rob's story is magnificent, actually, and the support you've given. But we need all of us to make sure that we get that breakthrough on MND, because it's such a devastating condition. And I was happy to humiliate myself in support of Rob and in that very worthy cause.
For a good cause. Andy Burnham, thank you very much indeed. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Rob Burrow can persuade people to do incredible things, you know.
You were there that night. You saw him in Blackpool.
Yes. It was a really good sport.
Yeah. Lots of people enjoyed it.
For a great, great cause.